Stop calling yourself a leader if you do not yet know the purpose you were born to serve. Make a note of this. Leadership does not begin when people recognize you. Leadership begins when you discover why God created you. Recognition is not the source of leadership. A microphone is not the source of leadership. A pulpit, an office, a platform, a badge, a uniform, a business card, a title on the door. None of these things can create what purpose has not produced. This message is not just for presidents and prime ministers. This is for parents, pastors, entrepreneurs, teachers, students, politicians, husbands, wives, and young people sitting in the back of the room wondering, do I matter? Yes, you matter. You carry leadership potential because you were created by God with an assignment. But potential without discovery becomes frustration. And frustration dressed in a title becomes dangerous. We have produced a generation that is collecting names before discovering nature. People want to be called founder, bishop, apostle, CEO, influencer, visionary, honorable, doctor, prophet, manager, leader. But when you ask them, what problem were you born to solve? They become silent. When you ask them, what is your assignment? They quote their resume. When you ask them, what gift has God placed in you for the benefit of humanity? They show you their followers. That is not leadership, that is decoration. Write this down. A title can introduce you, but it cannot define you. A chair can seat you, but it cannot qualify you. A crowd can celebrate you, but it cannot confirm you. Position gives you authority over a system, but purpose gives you authority in life. That is why some people have a seat and no substance. They have visibility and no vision. They have followers and no future. They have a crown on their head, but confusion in the soul. Before you ask people to follow you, ask yourself, what did God design me to become? Before you demand loyalty, ask yourself, what principle have I submitted myself to? Before you build a platform, ask yourself, what problem was my gift created to solve? Because if you do not know why you exist, you will use people to support your insecurity instead of serving people with your assignment. True leadership is not the pursuit of followers. True leadership is the discovery of purpose. True leadership is not saying, look at me. True leadership is saying, this is what I was born to serve. And when a person discovers purpose and serves it with excellence, people are attracted not to their ego, but to their assignment. So I want you to stay with this teaching if you are ready to be corrected by truth and restored to purpose. Subscribe for more kingdom principles, not religious entertainment, but principles that restore your identity. And write in the comments, I choose purpose over title. Say it until your spirit hears it. I choose purpose over title. Because the day you discover why God created you is the day leadership begins. Now, if leadership begins when you discover why God created you, then the first question in leadership is not who is following me. The first question is, why do I exist? That is the foundation. Because you cannot lead people into a future you have not discovered within yourself. You cannot give direction when you are still borrowing definition. You cannot guide a generation while you are confused about your own assignment. Write this down. The purpose of a thing is only found in the mind of the one who made it. If you want to know the purpose of a product, you do not ask the customer first. You do not ask the spectator. You do not ask the competitor. You go back to the manufacturer. The manufacturer knows why he made the thing, what problem it was designed to solve, what capacity placed inside it, and what environment it functions best in. Purpose is not determined by popularity. Purpose is not determined by opinion. Purpose is not determined by applause. Purpose is determined by the maker. That is why no human being can discover true identity by consulting culture alone. Culture did not make you. Your family did not manufacture your destiny. Your friends did not design your gift. Your enemies did not cancel your assignment. God made you. And if God made you, then your purpose is hidden in the mind of God before it is manifested in your life. Before you were known by people, you were known by God. Before you had a name on earth, you had an assignment in eternity. God never creates anything without a purpose. Please hear me. Nothing leaves the mind of God empty. When God creates a bird, He gives it wings because its purpose requires flight. When God creates a fish, He gives it gills because its purpose requires water. When God creates a seed, He hides a forest in it because its purpose requires multiplication. So when God created you, He did not send you here vacant. He placed potential inside you equal to the assignment He gave you. The tragedy is when a person spends their whole life looking outside for what God placed inside. They chase titles because they have not found purpose. They chase applause because they have not found conviction. They copy people because they have not discovered themselves. They become jealous of another person's gift because they have not served their own. That is why ignorance of purpose is dangerous. When a thing does not know why it exists, abuse is inevitable. Misuse is simply use without purpose. So let me ask you some questions, and do not answer too quickly. What is your assignment? What problem were you born to answer? What gift did God hide inside you for your generation? What makes you angry that God may have sent you to correct? What burden keeps coming back to your spirit? What do you see that others ignore? What do you carry that becomes a blessing when you serve it? These are leadership questions. Not how many people know my name. Not who is clapping for me. Not what office do I hold. But why am I here? Make a note of this. Where purpose is not known, leadership becomes performance. And we have too many performers in positions. They have learned the language of leadership, but they have not discovered the life of leadership. They know how to stand on stages, but they do not know why they were born. They know how to gather people, but they do not know where they are going. They know how to demand honor, but they do not know how to serve an assignment. When you do not know your purpose, you begin to borrow ambition from everywhere. You borrow ambition from culture, so you want what everybody celebrates. You borrow ambition from applause, so you become addicted to being seen. You borrow ambition from family pressure, so you become what others expected, but never what God intended. You borrow ambition from insecurity, so you compete with people you were never assigned to imitate. And after years of running, climbing, proving, posting, and performing, you can end up successful in something God never asked you to do. True leadership is not first a social position. True leadership is an internal discovery. It is the manifestation of a hidden assignment. Leadership begins when something God placed inside you becomes stronger than the need to be approved by people around you. Leadership begins when purpose disciplines your desires. Leadership begins when you can say, I know why I am here, and I will serve it even if nobody claps. This is why Jesus did not begin by asking, who follows me? He began with identity and assignment. I must be about my Father's business. That is purpose language. That is manufacturer language. That is a son who knows where he came from, why he came, and what he was sent to finish. And when a person knows that, they become dangerous to confusion. They cannot be bought by applause. They cannot be controlled by criticism. They cannot be redirected by popularity. So stop asking God for followers when you have not asked Him for clarity. Stop asking for a platform when you have not discovered your message. Stop asking for promotion when you have not submitted to purpose. Go back to the manufacturer. Spend time with God. Ask Him, why did you make me? What did you put in me? Who am I assigned to serve? What problem am I carrying an answer for? Because until purpose is discovered, leadership remains an act. But when purpose is discovered, leadership becomes your nature. Now this brings us to a dangerous correction, because many of us were trained to believe that leadership means people must come under our control. We think leadership means I am above and you are beneath. I speak and you obey. I decide and you submit. I have the title, therefore I have the right to rule you. But make a note of this. True leadership is not about control. It is about service. True leadership is not about power. It is about empowerment. True leadership is not about manipulation. It is about inspiration. If you have to control people to prove you are a leader, you have already revealed that you are not secure in your purpose. If you have to intimidate people to keep them close, you are not leading them, you are imprisoning them. If you have to threaten people to make them respect you, you do not have authority, you have fear. And fear is a poor substitute for vision. Fear can make people move, but it cannot make people grow. Fear can produce compliance, but it cannot produce commitment. Fear can keep people around you, but it cannot release the greatness inside them. Write this down. Leadership is really not about people first. Leadership is about purpose. People gather around purpose when that purpose serves their dignity, answers their pain, and points them toward a future. People are not attracted to your need to be important. People are attracted to solutions. They are attracted to vision. They are attracted to conviction. They are attracted to a gift that has been developed until it becomes useful. So the question is not, how can I get people to follow me? The question is, what have I been given by God that can serve people so well that their lives become better because I obeyed? That is why true leaders do not chase followers. Chasing followers is a sign that you have not found your assignment. True leaders chase purpose. True leaders serve their gift. True leaders refine their capacity. True leaders keep working on what God placed inside them until it becomes valuable to somebody else. The carpenter does not beg people to sit in his chair. He builds it well. The doctor does not beg sick people to need him. He develops skill to solve their condition. The teacher does not beg students to listen. He studies truth until truth becomes clear through him. Find your gift, serve it with excellence, and people will be attracted to the value your purpose produces. Say this with me. My purpose is bigger than my position. Say it again. My purpose is bigger than my position. What did you say? My purpose is bigger than my position. That means if they take the chair, you still have purpose. If they remove the title, you still have gift. If they stop applauding, you still have assignment. If they close the door, you still have God. A position can be taken from you by men, but purpose was given to you by God. That is why a true leader is never unemployed in spirit. You may lose a job, but you cannot lose your reason for being unless you surrender it. This is what Jesus came to correct. The disciples were arguing about greatness, arguing about rank, arguing about who would sit on the right hand and who would sit on the left. They had the same disease we have today. They wanted position before service. They wanted prominence before process. They wanted a crown before a cross. And Jesus said, in essence, that is how the Gentiles think. They exercise lordship over people, but it shall not be so among you. In the kingdom, greatness is not measured by how many people serve you. Greatness is measured by how many people are served through you. Please hear this. The Son of God did not come demanding that men wash his feet. He knelt down and washed theirs. He did not use power to protect ego. He used power to restore dignity. He did not manipulate the broken. He healed them. He did not dominate the weak. He lifted them. He did not build followers by advertising himself. He served his Father's purpose with such purity that people said, no man ever spoke like this man. So if your leadership makes people smaller, check your spirit. If your leadership makes people afraid to think, afraid to grow, afraid to question, afraid to become, then you are not empowering them, you are feeding on them. The evidence of true leadership is not how many people you control, but how many people your purpose empowers. A true leader does not create dependence. A true leader releases capacity. A true leader does not build a throne out of people's weakness. A true leader builds people until they discover strength. This is why purpose must be served, not worship as ego. Your gift was not given to make you superior. Your gift was given to make you useful. Your assignment was not given to separate you from people in arrogance. It was given to connect you to people through service. So stop trying to become powerful over people and become valuable to people. Stop trying to be seen and start solving something. Stop trying to be followed and start serving what God put inside you. Because when purpose becomes your master, people are no longer tools for your ambition. They become the beneficiaries of your obedience. Now this is where leadership becomes dangerous. Because when a person receives promotion before self-discovery, the office becomes a hospital for their insecurity. Write this down. A title in the hands of an undiscovered person becomes a weapon of insecurity. They do not use the position to serve purpose. They use the position to repair pain. They use the chair to feel tall. They use the robe to feel holy. They use the applause to feel valuable. They use the office to cover emptiness. And whenever power is given to a person who has not discovered why they exist, people become victims of their confusion. This is why it is possible to have a crown on your head and still have a slave in your mind. You can be externally promoted and internally imprisoned. You can sit in the seat of authority and still think like a captive. You can have the car, the building, the entourage, the microphone, the robe, the ring, the office, and the reserved parking space and still not know who you are. That is a dangerous person because they have symbols of authority without the substance of identity. Make a note of this. False leadership depends on symbols. False leaders need you to see the chair. They need you to recognize the title. They need the long introduction. They need the special seat. They need the applause before they can function. They need people to stand when they enter because something inside them is still sitting down. They need to be announced because they have not discovered assignment. They need external confirmation because there is no internal conviction. But true leadership can be stripped and still remain influential. Take away Joseph's coat and his gift still interprets dreams. Take away Daniel's political comfort and his principles still stand in Babylon. Take away Paul's freedom, put him in prison, and his purpose still writes letters that outlive empires. Take away Jesus' robe, take away the crowd, take away the applause, nail him to a cross, and he is still king. Why? Because true leadership is not located in clothing, it is not located in furniture, it is not located in public recognition. True leadership is rooted in identity. If you must be called something in order to become something, then you have not discovered yourself. If they have to introduce you with 7 titles before you feel qualified to speak, you are still insecure. If your authority disappears when the microphone is taken away, you never had authority. You had equipment. If your confidence depends on a seat at the table, then the table has become your God. A true leader can stand in a back room and still carry vision. A true leader can serve in silence and still affect destiny. A true leader can lose position and remain productive because purpose does not retire when people stop recognizing it. This is why nations collapse. This is why organizations decay. This is why families suffer. Not because there are no positions, but because positions are occupied by people without principles. History teaches us this. Great empires did not fall merely because enemies attacked them from outside. Many were rotting before the enemy arrived. Rome had armies, roads, courts, wealth, and symbols of greatness. But when moral discipline left the people, the structure could not save them. A building cannot protect a nation whose conscience has died. A constitution cannot protect a people whose leaders have no principles. A throne cannot save a king who has no vision. Woe to the land when slaves become kings. Now understand what I mean. I am not talking about economic slavery only. I am talking about a mentality. A slave mentality is the mind that has never been delivered into purpose. It seeks power because it has never known dignity. It controls people because it has never mastered self. It abuses privilege because it has never developed discipline. It demands honor because it has never discovered value. Put a crown on that mind and you do not get a king, you get oppression with better clothes. So before you ask God to lift you, ask Him to reveal you. Before you ask for the office, ask for identity. Before you ask for influence, ask for principles. Before you ask for people, ask for discipline. Because whatever is hidden in you will be exposed by promotion. Power does not change you first. Power reveals you first. The chair will reveal your insecurity. The applause will reveal your appetite. The title will reveal your character. The pressure will reveal your principles. Let me ask you a question, and do not answer with your mouth too quickly. Why do you want leadership? Do you want it because you love purpose, or do you want it because you need people to make you feel important? Do you want to lead because you have found something worth serving, or because you are trying to make others bow to the emptiness you refuse to confront? Do you want influence so you can empower people, or so you can finally feel superior to people who once ignored you? Go home and sit with that question. Let it disturb you. Let it correct you. Because the most dangerous person in any generation is not the person without a title. It is the person with a title and no self-knowledge, a crown and no character, a seat and no vision, power and no purpose. Do not become a well-dressed slave with a crown. Discover who you are before you demand to be followed. Serve what God placed in you before you try to rule what belongs to others. Now, if the crown is dangerous on an undiscovered person, then the first act of deliverance is to take the crown off in your mind. Reduce yourself to your first name. I know that sounds simple, but it is painful for people who have been hiding behind descriptions. Before you are apostle, before you are doctor, before you are CEO, before you are minister, before you are founder, before you are husband, before you are wife, before you are leader, who are you before God? That is the question. Not who do people call you. Not what do they print on your certificate. Not what is written on your door. Not what do they announce when you enter the room. If all of that was removed, what would be left? If they stopped calling you by your title, would you still know your value? If the company closed, if the ministry changed, if the followers left, if the office ended, if the introduction became short, would you still be whole? Make a note of this. Titles describe function, but purpose reveals identity. A title tells people what you are doing in a system. Purpose tells you why you exist in creation. A title is temporary. Purpose is original. A title can be given by men. Purpose is given by God. A title can be taken from you. Purpose must be discovered by you. So if the function is removed and the person disappears, then the person was never secure. They were attached to a role, but they were not rooted in identity. This is why some people retire and die while still breathing. The position ended, and because they never discovered purpose, their soul lost oxygen. This is why some people become bitter when they are no longer in charge. They thought the chair was their life. This is why some people cannot celebrate the next generation. They believe another person's rise is their reduction. But when you know who you are, you do not need to compete with anybody. Purpose never competes. Purpose manifests. Every human being carries a gift. Please hear me carefully. God never created a person without a deposit. He never sent anybody to earth empty. There is something in you that is not in me, and there is something in me that is not in you. That means you are necessary. Say it. I am necessary. Say it again until your insecurity becomes uncomfortable. I am necessary. You are not necessary because people clap. You are necessary because God designed you with something creation needs. Your gift is the seed of your leadership. You do not become a leader by adding a title. You become a leader by discovering and serving your gift. The gift is the area where your purpose begins to speak. The gift is where your contribution becomes visible. The gift is where your passion begins to organize your discipline. The gift is where your life becomes useful beyond your own survival. Write this down. Your gift is not for your ego. Your gift is for your service. God did not give you ability so you could feel superior. He gave you ability so someone else could be strengthened. He did not give you wisdom so you could dominate the ignorant. He gave you wisdom so you could deliver people from darkness. He did not give you creativity so you could worship your own brilliance. He gave you creativity so you could solve problems, build beauty, create systems, heal disorder, and release value into the world. So stop asking, what title can I get? And start asking, what gift must I serve? What gives you righteous anger? What injustice makes you uncomfortable? What problem can you not ignore? What burden keeps returning even when nobody is paying you? What produces holy passion in you? What gives you creative energy? What do people come to you for without you advertising it? What do you see clearly that others keep missing? These are clues. Purpose leaves evidence. Some of you have been rebuking your burden because it disturbed your comfort. But sometimes the thing that bothers you is the thing God sent you to repair. Moses became angry when he saw oppression. Nehemiah wept when he heard about broken walls. David could not tolerate a giant insulting the armies of the living God. Jesus was moved with compassion when he saw people like sheep without a shepherd. Righteous anger is not hatred. It is purpose reacting to disorder. Holy passion is not ambition. It is assignment, waking up. But you cannot serve your gift properly if you despise yourself. This is why your self-worth, your self-concept, and your self-esteem are important. Now listen to me. I am not talking about pride. Pride is when you invent value apart from God. Healthy self-worth is when you agree with what God designed. Pride says, I am better than you. Purpose says, I am necessary to you. Pride demands worship. Identity accepts responsibility. Pride uses gifts to exalt self. Purpose uses gifts to serve others. Some of you were taught that thinking well of yourself is arrogance. No, thinking against God's design is arrogance. If God made you in His image and you call yourself nothing, that is not humility. That is rebellion against truth. Humility is not self-hatred. Humility is accurate self-knowledge under God. You can say, I am gifted, and still bow before God. You can say, I am valuable, and still serve people. You can say, I am called, and still wash feet. Healthy identity does not make you proud. It makes you stable. A person with no self-worth will use leadership to get worth. A person with no self-concept will borrow identity from applause. A person with no self-esteem will become threatened by other gifts. But a person who knows they were designed by God can serve without fear. They can celebrate others without shrinking. They can be corrected without collapsing. They can be hidden without dying. They can be promoted without becoming intoxicated. So reduce yourself to your first name and ask God to show you what He placed in you. Sit with Him until titles lose their power over your soul. Stop hiding behind function. Stop introducing yourself by what you control. Stop measuring your value by who recognizes you. Find your gift, serve your gift, develop your gift, discipline your gift, offer your gift to humanity with excellence. Because the world does not need another decorated ego. The world needs what God placed in you before anybody gave you a title. Now when you begin to serve what God placed in you, something begins to happen before anybody gives you a position. Influence begins to develop. Make a note of this. Authority can be assigned, but influence must be earned. An institution can give you authority. A board can vote you into office. A government can appoint you. A company can promote you. A church can ordain you. But none of them can give you influence. Influence is the natural result of serving your God-given purpose with excellence. Authority gives you the right to speak in a system. Influence gives you the weight to be heard in a heart. Authority may put people under your management, but influence causes people to trust your movement. Authority can make people obey while you are present. Influence shapes them even when you are absent. That is why you can have authority and no influence, and you can have no title and influence everybody in the room. People are not really attracted to titles. They respect them for a moment, but they follow value. They follow solutions. They follow clarity. They follow conviction. They follow service that makes their life better. If you solve a problem consistently, people will look for you. If you carry wisdom consistently, people will consult you. If you serve your gift with discipline, people will begin to organize around the value you produce. The person who solves a problem becomes necessary, and necessity is the beginning of influence. This is why a mother can lead a household without a corporate title. She may not have a nameplate on a door, but when she carries wisdom, patience, order, discernment, and love, she becomes the center of stability in that home. She influences decisions. She shapes values. She creates an atmosphere. She raises leaders at the table before the world ever sees them on a stage. Do not tell me she is not a leader, because no one gave her an office. Her purpose is producing influence. A teacher standing before children may never be famous, but if that teacher discovers the gift of shaping minds, that classroom becomes a womb for the future. A business owner who sees a need in the community and creates honest value becomes more than a merchant. They become a servant of solutions. A young person in school who refuses corruption, refuses compromise, refuses to laugh at what destroys others, can influence peers by conviction before they ever hold a microphone. Leadership is not waiting for age. Leadership is not waiting for election. Leadership is purpose becoming useful. Write this down. Visibility without value is exposure. Some of you are asking God to make you known before you have become useful. Be careful. A platform does not mature you. It reveals you. A microphone does not give you a message. It amplifies what is already in you. Publicity does not create substance. It exposes emptiness. If purpose has not matured, visibility becomes dangerous. You will spend all your energy trying to keep attention that your gift has not earned. So stop chasing visibility and develop value. Stop praying only for doors and start developing what you will carry through the door. Stop asking for followers and serve your assignment faithfully. Followers are not the goal of leadership. Followers are the result of leadership. They are the result of purpose served with consistency, character, clarity, and excellence. When your gift becomes a solution, influence will find you. When your purpose becomes service, people will be empowered by you. When your life becomes a contribution, you will not have to beg for relevance. Purpose creates influence before position gives authority. Serve what God gave you until your existence becomes an answer. Now, after influence begins to find you, you must understand the next law. Purpose may open the door, but character decides whether you can stay in the room. Make a note of this. Purpose may reveal your leadership, but character preserves it. It is possible to discover why you were born and still destroy what you were born to serve. Because discovery without discipline becomes danger. Your gift can take you where your character cannot keep you. Your gift can attract attention, attract invitations, attract followers, attract opportunity, but if your character is weak, every opportunity becomes a test you were not prepared to pass. This is why you must not celebrate exposure too quickly. Before you ask God for more influence, ask Him for more discipline. Before you ask for a larger platform, ask for a cleaner heart. Before you ask for more people, ask whether your private life can be trusted with their future. Write this down. The only lasting currency of leadership is trust, not talent, not charm, not education, not beauty, not noise. Trust. When people trust you, they lend you their confidence, their time, their vulnerability, their future, their obedience, their hope. And when you violate trust, you do not only damage your name, you injure the people who believed your purpose was safe. Trust is protected by self-discipline. A leader does not wait for external discipline. A leader imposes discipline on himself. He disciplines his appetite. He disciplines his tongue. He disciplines his thoughts. He disciplines his money. He disciplines his relationships. He disciplines his reactions. He disciplines his calendar. Why? Because he understands that his life is carrying something bigger than his feelings. Charisma is not enough. Charisma may attract people, but character determines whether they can trust you. Charisma can fill a room, but character builds a life. Charisma can make people admire you from a distance, but character allows them to come close and still respect what they see. Charisma is what people experience publicly. Character is what God sees privately. And whatever you refuse to govern privately will eventually embarrass you publicly. That is why many gifted people become dangerous. They have ability without restraint, passion without purity, revelation without responsibility, influence without integrity. They can speak well, sing well, lead well, build well, organize well, but they cannot control themselves. And an undisciplined gift is like a sharp knife in the hand of a child. It was designed to help, but it can wound. Gifted people without discipline can damage the very people they were born to serve. The spirit of leadership is not noise. The spirit of leadership is conviction, passion, integrity, excellence, compassion, creativity, courage, patience, and self-control. Conviction gives you roots. Passion gives you energy. Integrity keeps you whole. Excellence refuses mediocrity. Compassion keeps people from becoming tools. Creativity finds answers where others see walls. Courage stands when comfort runs. Patience respects process. Self-control protects everything. Read those again in your own heart. Conviction, passion, integrity, excellence, compassion, creativity, courage, patience, self-control. If one of these is missing, your leadership will leak. You cannot carry a great purpose in a cracked vessel. You cannot build a future with corrupt habits. You cannot empower people while being mastered by secret appetites. You cannot lead people into freedom while you are a prisoner of yourself. So go home and audit yourself. Do not audit your followers first. Do not audit your critics first. Do not audit your enemies first. Audit you. Ask yourself, what habits are weakening my purpose? What motives are contaminating my service? What appetites are controlling my decisions? What words are destroying trust? What relationships are feeding compromise? What private practices would disqualify my public message if they were exposed? Do not be afraid of that examination. Truth does not come to destroy you. Truth comes to deliver you. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. But truth you refuse to face cannot free you. A man who lies to himself is the easiest man for power to destroy. A woman who refuses correction is preparing for collapse. Correction is not rejection. Discipline is not punishment. Discipline is the protection of destiny. So before you ask for greater influence, build greater character. Before you ask God to send people, become safe for people. Before you ask for the crown, master your appetite. Before you ask for the microphone, discipline your mouth. Before you ask to lead the city, govern your own spirit. Because leadership is not simply purpose discovered. Leadership is character serving purpose under discipline. And when your gift is governed by integrity, your influence becomes a place where people can grow without fear. Now this brings us to a very practical test. Before you ask anybody to follow you, sit down and interrogate yourself. Ask, what is my purpose? What is my passion? What are my principles? What price am I willing to pay? Do not answer quickly. Cheap answers produce cheap leaders. Purpose tells you why you exist. Passion tells you what you cannot abandon. Principles tell you what you will not violate. Price tells you whether you are serious. Write this down. A person without principles is too unstable to be trusted with people. Principles are the non-negotiable truths that govern your decisions when pressure comes. Principles keep you from being bought by money, controlled by fear, flattered by applause, or intimidated by power. If money can change your conviction, you are for sale. If applause can change your message, you are not a leader, you are an entertainer. If fear can change your values, you are not guiding people, you are being guided by threats. This is the difference between a politician and a leader. A politician often thinks about the next opportunity. A true leader thinks about the next generation. A politician asks, what will make them like me now? A leader asks, what will protect them after I am gone? A politician studies the crowd. A leader studies the future. A politician adjusts truth to survive the moment. A leader accepts suffering to preserve principle. We do not need more people chasing chairs. We need people with conviction strong enough to protect unborn futures. And do not limit this to government. This is in the family. A father without principles will sacrifice his children's future for his present appetite. A mother without principles will trade order for convenience. A business person without principles will destroy trust for profit. A minister without principles will use souls to build a name. A friend without principles will betray loyalty for acceptance. A person without principles may be talented, gifted, visible, and popular, but they are dangerous because no one knows what governs them. Leadership requires decisions that protect the future, not merely satisfy the present. Sometimes leadership means saying no to what feels good because it violates what is good. Sometimes leadership means losing an opportunity because the opportunity requires you to betray your assignment. Sometimes leadership means standing alone while others are negotiating their conscience. Do not be impressed by a person who can gather a crowd. Ask them, what are your principles? Ask them, what can you not be paid to do? Ask them, what truth will you suffer for? So stop announcing leadership. Stop telling everyone you are a leader. Stop demanding followers. Submit your life to the discipline of purpose. Let your habits be trained. Let your motives be purified. Let your appetites be governed. Let your decisions prove your convictions. The world does not need another loud person with no foundation. People need leaders who are safe enough to trust with their pain, their dreams, their children, their future. Say this quietly. Not for performance, but for covenant. I will not lead from ego. I will lead from assignment. Say it until it judges your ambition. Say it until it cleans your motives. Say it until leadership stops being a stage and becomes stewardship. Because God can trust a person who has principles, and people can rest under a leader whose life is governed by truth. And this is where the matter must become personal. You see the order now. Purpose reveals identity. Identity releases gift. Gift creates service. Service produces influence. Character protects trust. Do not reverse the order. If you put influence before service, you become ambitious. If you put title before purpose, you become insecure. If you put gift before character, you become dangerous. But when purpose is first, everything else finds its rightful place. Make a note of this. The leader God can trust is the person who serves without needing applause. Not the person who must be seen, not the person who must be announced. Not the person who must be praised every time they obey. The leader God can trust is the person who discovers purpose, serves people, protects trust, and lives for assignment instead of applause. So I return to where we began. Do not call yourself a leader because they gave you a title. Let your purpose testify. Let your service testify. Let your discipline testify. Let the lives you strengthen testify. Let the problems you solve testify. A title can introduce you, but only fruit can defend you. A position can place you before people, but only purpose can make you necessary to them. And please hear me. Leadership is not reserved for the famous, the wealthy, the educated, or the politically connected. Leadership is not only for presidents, pastors, executives, bishops, professors, or people with followers online. A mother can lead. A young person can lead. A carpenter can lead. A nurse can lead. A farmer can lead. A teacher can lead. A student can lead. Why? Because every person was created to influence a domain through purpose. There is a place in creation waiting for what God placed in you. There are people assigned to be helped by your gift. There is a problem your life was designed to answer. But you must stop waiting for applause before you begin serving. Begin in obscurity. Begin with excellence. Begin with discipline. Begin with the few. Begin with the one. God watches what you do when nobody is clapping, because hidden service reveals purified motives. So here is my final challenge to you. Take time in solitude. Turn off the noise. Sit before God without your title, without your image, without your performance, without your need to impress anybody. Ask Him, why did you make me? Ask Him, what gift did you place in me? Ask Him, who am I called to serve? Then write it down. Write down your gift. Identify the people your purpose is meant to serve. Identify the problem you were born to help solve. Then begin serving with excellence. Do not wait until the room is full. Do not wait until people know your name. Do not wait until somebody gives you permission to become what God already designed. Serve your gift. Develop your character. Protect trust. Live by principle. Refuse to use people for your ego. Refuse to turn purpose into performance. Refuse to become addicted to applause. And if this message is helping you grow in kingdom, purpose, leadership, and character, then subscribe and keep walking in this truth with us. And I want you to write this declaration in the comments. Not as a slogan, but as a covenant. I was born for purpose, and I will serve my gift. Say it with your life. The world does not need more titled people. It needs discovered people, disciplined people, trustworthy people, people who serve without needing applause. People who become agents of change in God's original purpose.